the mask you mistook for a facsimile. You wake up one day and feel like a stranger to your own life. The clothes you wear, the words you speak, the decisions you make, none of it feels like it belongs to you anymore. You go to work, you laugh, you say all the right things, but somewhere deep inside, a voice whispers, "This isn't me." Not really. And maybe you've ignored that voice for years, or maybe, just now, you're starting to hear it again. Today, we begin a journey. Not forward, not toward becoming someone new, but backward, toward the self you lost, the one you were before the world told you who to be. Stay with me, because what you'll find may not be easy, but it might be the most honest thing you've ever known. Where we're born, we're not blank slates. We're raw, unfiltered beings, full of wonder, instinct, and wild feeling. But it doesn't take long before the world begins to press in. Be quiet. Don't cry. Act normal. Be a good girl. Be a strong boy. Don't be so dramatic. Don't take up too much space. And so, we begin to edit ourselves. We learn which parts of us get praised and which get punished. We hide the loud, the messy, the angry, the tender, and in its place, we build something else. Something safer, sharper, smoother, a version of ourselves that's easier to love. Carl Jung called it the persona, the mask we wear to meet the expectations of the world. It's not fake, it's not a lie, but it's only a part of us. The part we perform to be accepted, included, approved. And for a time, it works. People smile. They like you. You fit in. But what happens when a mask sticks? When you wear it so long you forget you ever put it on? You begin to feel disconnected from your own joy, from your own body, from your own desires. You chase goals that don't excite you. You stay in relationships that don't nourish you. You keep quiet when you want to scream. And maybe no one notices, because from the outside, you're fine. You're functioning. You're even successful. But inside, you feel like a house that looks beautiful, but is hollow, echoing, cold. Why? Because the one who built that house isn't the one living in it anymore. If this sounds familiar, you're not broken. You're not failing. You're just lost in an identity you created to survive. But survival is not the same as living. And you, the real you, might still be in there, waiting patiently behind the mask you forgot you were wearing. So let me ask you something. When did you stop being you? Was it when you were told your emotions were too much? When you were punished for being curious? When your dreams were laughed at? When someone told you who you're supposed to be? You believed them. We all have that moment. Sometimes it's not dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet, a slow erasing of the self, one shit at a time. But if we want to find our way back, we have to start by noticing, where did I trade truth for approval? Where did I go silent just to be safe? What part of me did I abandon just to be loved? These aren't easy questions. They take courage, but they are the beginning of remembering. Here's something no one tells you. The version of you that was too sensitive, too loud, too weird, too intense was probably the most honest version you've ever been. Not polished, not perfect, but whole. And somewhere, deep down, you know that. You feel it in the moments you can't explain. The quiet sadness that visits you at night. The restlessness that follows you, even when life looks good. The yearning, not for more success or status, but for something real, something yours. That's your original self, still breathing, still waiting. In the next part of this journey, we'll explore the moment the self begins to split, the creation of the false self, and the high cost of staying silent for too long. But for now, I want to leave you with this. Sit in a quiet place, close your eyes, and ask, gently, who was I before I knew who I had to be? You might not get a clear answer, but the silence itself will begin to speak. You are not gone. You are just hidden, and together we'll bring you back. There is a moment in everyone's life when the self begins to split. It doesn't announce itself. There's no thunder, no collapse. It happens slowly, a quiet rearrangement of your truth. One day, you speak a little less. You pretend to agree, just to keep the peace. You swallow a feeling instead of expressing it, and no one notices, not even you, because it looks like growth. It feels like maturity, like you're being reasonable, being professional, being strong. But in truth, what you're being is edited. You start to say things you don't believe. You stop saying things you do, not because you've changed, but because you've learned. Some parts of you are unacceptable, and slowly, without even realizing it, you begin to abandon a Parts of yourself that feel too heavy to carry in public. This is the birth of the false self, a version of you that exists to protect, to please, to avoid rejection. It looks like you. It sounds like you, but it's hollowed out, stripped of rawness, of vulnerability, of soul. You become a mirror for others, reflecting what they want to see instead of a window into who you really are. And it works. You're praised. You're told you're so put together. But inside, a quiet ache grows, because while you've been building a life that looks perfect on paper, the real you has been left unread, unspoken, untouched. There's a cost to that silence. It's not just about identity. It's about aliveness. When you lose access to your anger, you lose your boundaries. When you silence your sadness, you lose your depth. When you reject your fear, you lose your instinct. When you hide your joy, you lose your light. And eventually, you look around your own life and realize none of this feels like home. Not your job, not your relationships, not even the thoughts in your own head. You've become so skilled at adaptation that you've forgotten how to simply exist. But here's the truth. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are not delayed. You are just buried beneath years of people-pleasing, self-censorship, functioning, code switching, shame swallowing, and survival. And if you feel like a stranger to yourself, that doesn't mean you fail. It means your soul is calling you back. It's knocking. Not loudly. Not with force, but with a gentle unease, a whisper at night, a sense that something is missing, and that something is you. So how do you begin to find your way back? You begin by stopping the endless chase to fix, to perform, to earn love. You stop long enough to hear the ache beneath your ambition, the silence beneath your smile, and in that stillness, you ask yourself, what parts of me did I leave behind to be accepted? What did I silence that still lives inside me, waiting to be heard? What version of me did I bury to survive? And what will it take to bring them home? These questions have no easy answers, but you don't need answers yet. You need honesty and permission to be messy. To be angry. To be soft. To be loud. To be wild. To be real. Not someday. But now, because the self you're looking for, it's not gone. It's just been waiting for you, patiently, in the places you've been taught to avoid. It lives in your journal entries you never show anyone. In the songs that make you cry for no reason. In the dreams you gave up on. In the memories you revisit when the world goes quiet. It's not outside you. It never was. You don't need to become anything new. You just need to remember. Not in your mind. In your body, in your breath, in your bones. And so this isn't about finding yourself like you're a puzzle piece that went missing. It's about reclaiming the parts of you that were always there, but pushed into the dark. It's not about healing, because you are damaged. It's about returning, because you are always whole. The journey is not upward. It's inward, and it begins, not with action, but with the willingness to feel. To feel the grief of the self you abandoned, to feel the fear of being seen again, to feel the joy of recognition when you finally meet your own eyes, without the mask. That moment is coming, and it will not be loud, but it will be real. Let's walk there, together. There's something sacred about the moment you begin to listen to yourself, not the surface chatter, not the social script, but the raw, unfiltered voice buried beneath the noise. That voice has been speaking for years. Not in perfect language, but in signals. The weight in your chest when you say yes, but mean no. The exhaustion that follows you, even after rest. The tension that shows up before you walk into a room where you can't be real. The way your laughter sometimes dies mid-sentence and no one notices. You've been signaling to yourself all along, but you've been taught to ignore the signs. To label them as weakness, to suppress them in the name of resilience. But here's the truth. Your disconnection is not a dysfunction. It's a message. It's your body asking you to come home. We live in a culture that rewards the performance of strength and punishes emotional honesty. We are taught to self-abandon in the name of being reasonable. We are praised for being silent in the face of discomfort. We are encouraged to smile while we ache. But the body never lies. It remembers the parts of us we betrayed. It stores every yes we didn't mean, every truth we swallowed, every part of ourselves we rejected to be more acceptable. And the body waits until the day we finally slow down long enough to ask, what have I been carrying that was never mine? Whose version of me have I been trying to live up to? This is not rebellion. This is healing. You were not born disconnected. You were born whole. You danced before you knew how to speak. You cried without shame. You reached for what you wanted. You existed without explanation. That version of you still lives within you, not as a memory, but as a blueprint. Your essence is not lost. It's just covered by fear. By rejection, by performance. By pressure. But the beautiful thing about being human is this: we can return. We can unlearn. We can peel back the layers and remember who we were before the world told us who to be. This return is not a straight line. It's not a grand gesture. It's a series of tiny revolutions, quiet choices, private acts of courage. Like saying I don't know instead of pretending, like crying and not apologizing for it, like asking for help, like saying this isn't for me even when it disappoints others, like spending time with yourself and letting the silence be full, not empty. You don't have to announce your return. You just have to begin. And beginning often looks like breakdown, like confusion, like losing interest in things that once defined you, like grief for a self you buried to survive. But that grief, it's sacred. It means you remember. You remember that there was once a version of you that didn't need fixing. Just freedom. Freedom doesn't come from control. It doesn't come from perfection. It comes from presence, from the radical act of being with what is, without judgment. When you feel sadness, you let it exist. When you feel anger, you explore what boundary it's trying to protect. When you feel fear, you listen for the child in you who still needs safety. This is not indulgence. This is our EPA or ENTING. This is becoming the person your younger self needed, not later. Now, every time you validate what you feel, you reclaim a little piece of yourself. Every time you slow down instead of pushing through, you rebuild trust with your body. Every time you choose authenticity over approval, you become more real, not just to others, but to yourself. So many of us are searching for purpose, but you cannot find your purpose if you are living someone else's life. You cannot feel truly fulfilled while you're denying the very parts of you that make you whole. Purpose does not arrive like lightning. It returns when you are quiet enough to hear it. It whispers in the activities that make you lose track of time. It stirs when you speak from the heart and something in you says yes, this. It lives in the parts of you that never made sense to anyone, but always felt true. You will not find it by trying harder. You will find it by softening. By letting go. By making room. And if you're wondering, where do I even begin? Begin here, by telling yourself the truth, not the polished version, not the one that keeps everyone comfortable, the real one. I feel lost. I don't know who I am without the roles I play. I want more, but I'm scared. I'm tired of pretending. This truth is not weakness. It's your root, and the deeper you go, the more life you can grow from it. In the final part of this journey, we'll go to the core of what it means to live authentically, to no longer perform your life, but to embody it. Not perfectly, not all at once, but as you are. And that is more than enough. Let me know when you're ready for the closing section, and I'll bring it all home. There comes a moment, not dramatic, not loud, when you stop asking, who am I supposed to be? And start asking, who am I? When no one is watching, that is the moment your real life begins. Not the life built from expectation, not the version shaped by duty or pressure or performance, but the life that emerges when you strip it all away and choose to stand in the raw, honest presence of your own being. This isn't easy, because when you drop the mask, you will feel naked. You will feel vulnerable. You will question everything you thought you knew. But that discomfort, that cracking open, is not destruction. It is a kind of sacred birth. You see, your identity was never meant to be a cage. It was meant to be a canvas. And the moment you begin to paint with your true colors, the messy ones, the bold ones, the ones you were taught to hide, you will remember what freedom feels like. Freedom is not the absence of responsibility. It is the presence of truth. To say, this is who I am. To say, this is what I feel. To say, this is what I need. Not with apology, but with integrity. That is what it means to live from your center. To make peace with the voice within, instead of chasing validation from voices outside. You may lose things on this path. You may lose relationships that were built on your performance, not your presence. You may lose certainty, the comfort of old labels, old roles, old identities. You may lose the illusion that you can be everything to everyone. But what you gain is everything that matters. You gain alignment. Peace. Clarity. Energy. And most of all, you gain yourself, not the idea of you, not the edited, curated version, but the living, breathing truth of who you are. And from that place, you will build a life that feels like you, So let this be your quiet permission slip. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to outgrow your old self. You are allowed to leave behind roles that no longer fit. You are allowed to want more, even if you don't know what more means yet. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are becoming. Becoming doesn't happen all at once. It happens in moments. The moment you speak up when you used to stay silent. The moment you cry instead of holding it in. The moment you rest without guilt. The moment you choose joy without needing permission. These are the markers of your return. And here's something beautiful. You don't need to force anything. Healing is not something you achieve. It's something you allow. It unfolds in its own time. Through honesty, through stillness, through kindness to yourself. The more you listen inward, the more your life begins to reflect who you truly are. People who are meant for Yah will meet you there. Work that aligns with Yah will start to appear. Peace will stop being something you chase and start being the place you live. You have spent years shaping yourself to be loved. Now it's time to shape your life to love yourself. Not the fantasy self, not the better self, the real self. The one who's been waiting for you to come home. And when you do, when you finally stop running, performing, striving, you will find that you were never missing. You were simply hidden beneath everything you thought you had to be. Now, you can choose not to escape the world, but to live in it fully, without betraying who you are. That is the quiet revolution. So here is your invitation, not to fix yourself, not to improve yourself, but to remember yourself. Sit in silence today. Just for a moment. And ask, not with judgment, but with gentleness, what part of me is still waiting to be loved? What truth am I ready to live? You don't need to have the answers now. You just need to begin asking the right questions. Because the moment you do, the return begins. And once you begin, the rest of your life begins too. Welcome home.